Welcome to the Daddy and Nina Show. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We got a very good show for you today. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing for I don't know if this is his first time ever being interviewed himself or not, but he's a friend of mine, and everybody, let's welcome Stefan Daniel Bell.
Hey, Stefan.
Hey there. Blessings. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
It's a blessing. It's a great show.
How's your day?
It's going pretty well. Are you hearing that airplane?
No.
Yeah,
You heard the airplane?
Oh.
I didn't hear no airplane.
I heard something, but I wasn't sure. It's all good.
I think that was Nina passing gas.
Oh, could be.
Wow. No, I live near an airport. Anyway, blessings. How's your day going?
Going great. Well, now, you know.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm going to have to go inside because the airplane's decided to go over right at this moment.
Of course.
That's the way it happens.
That's how live radio works, right?
Yep, we are live right here on STL Hits, the Daddy and Nina Show with Stefan Daniel Bell today.
Yep.
Somewhere near Los Angeles. It's I have to tell you, it's been freezing cold out here. It gets down into the 50s at night.
In the
Pretty
50s.
much. Yes, it's like icicles in my mind.
Yeah, you just keep rubbing it in, don't you? I woke up to 8 degrees this morning.
I think I rolled my eyes so hard they fell out.
I think the dog caught them.
That is just not fair at all. I think, wow, smart house. I would have to have a house that woke up and turned on the heat for me during that, or I would not. My bones get so sore.
With heated floors.
I could handle heated floors would be nice, but I could, even if I had just like 1 square foot in the bathroom to warm up my feet in the morning, I would feel pretty luxury. But the air, like getting out of bed from the cold bed into the house, that's the moment for me where I've lived in warmer climates my whole life. First time I came down to Southern California, that was it for me. I was driving with my window down at Christmas, and I moved here in a month.
We talk about that all the time, moving to warmer climates. Because, getting older, your body's got arthritis.
We're rolling the dice, either Arizona or California right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say California because everybody's leaving, so it's rent's going to be good for about 6 months to a year. Yeah, but in terms of the beach, that's for me. I like living near the ocean. It has a rejuvenating effect.
Stefan, I have never seen the ocean. It's on my bucket list.
You got to just drive out here. I've looked for some reason. Plane tickets are more expensive to your area than to Miami or New York. Yeah.
Wow.
And it killed me because, I'm sorry. Whenever we were in Massachusetts, we were right there, right by it. How far away?
We was probably an hour and a half from downtown New York.
Yeah. But we were in a hurry to get married, so we had to get away from there.
Married is better.
Back up to Niagara Falls, yep. So, Stefan, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you're doing, and, just give yourself a all-American plug.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you. Right now, I've got a lot of music happening. I do a lot of things behind the scenes, so I have done interviews, but not for a long time. I think my last interview was actually on the Jimmy Star Show, almost 10 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago.
Wow.
I tend to be behind the camera. I've done acting, modeling, a whole bunch of stuff when I got to LA because it's very warm. So I worked all the time. And what was interesting about where we get to this interview is I do a lot of fashion, and I got to a point in my career where I had a large enough fan base that I could do a message through social media and and get some response. And by 2007, 2008, fashion began to bother me. Um, just the way that, the way that the marketing makes women feel bigger when most people are somewhere between a size 12 and a size 16 around the world. And we have these magazines pushing towards people that look like toothpicks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have, I design clothes for both size bodies, but I told my fans I didn't want to step into that world until I thought about it more. And everybody asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, well, the thing I do is music. And everybody said, do that. And for some reason, I got good reviews, and that was 12 years ago, and I never looked back. Since then, I produce, I consult with people about media, I help people put their careers together. But the thing that is what I do all the time is the music. So I think this is my first solo musician interview. Is actually the way it shows up, because I'm behind the scenes helping people get the songs ready for the radio, or working on a website for someone. Uh, Now I have to release the music as myself, and I'm nerve wracked about it. On the one hand, on the other hand, it's a great privilege. So I'm trying to learn how to enjoy it more, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Independent.
absolutely. You got to sit back and relax, and you got a great sound. It's very unique, very different from anybody else's. So you are in your own category, and I'm not sure what type of genre or category you're even thinking about whenever you're producing your music.
It's interesting. The funniest story there is, my nephew Jason uh, deserves a plug here, because he was the one that, as I was making the music, I was still releasing fashion music and doing whatever I do. And my nephew said, "You need to get into ASCAP and be a real musician." And I laughed at him. And it took him 2 years to talk me into it. And the process of doing the forms and the kinds of things that you have to do to get into these organizations, it's challenging to the ego. I mean, it's not like you want to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself to move through these steps. So, long story short, I was denied in the pop category. I wanted to go as a pop musician, and like Sting and Peter Gabriel and Pink Floyd, and I wanted to do that. And I love hip hop. On the one hand, on the other hand, I look like the backup guitarist for Seals and Crofts, and yeah,
But that
so I
would be
just
your own hook, wouldn't it?
it would, but I would be like a gimmick hip hop band. I wouldn't be in the real tradition, and I love the real tradition. So I stay behind, and I have consulted on some projects there, and I do beats, and I love to produce for that. But in terms of being my solo music, I ended up being rejected in pop, and I got a letter saying that I could be in the classical division. And I called them up, and it was a great conversation, and I ended up in the classical division of ASCAP. The music that you're hearing, I've had other people listen to it, experts. It shows up as something called progressive house, which is cool, because I love house as well. Um, Sort of the thing that happened after funk and disco,
Mm-hmm.
and don't hate disco. Um, Not you, but just everybody.
Oh, I love
Oh,
disco.
I love
Are
disco
you kidding
too.
me?
I love
Bell
disco.
bottom jeans and those tall shoes that they had in the '70s with the goldfish in the hill. Platform shoes, I think they called them, right?
I'm
Yes.
telling you,
Mm-hmm.
with the bell sleeves and the bell bottom pants. Oh my gosh. Yes, I loved all that stuff, and that led me into Peter Gabriel and Pink Floyd and the epic progressive rock bands of the '70s. I loved that sound, but that's really a lot of sound, and you need 5, 6 people, and you need a large budget. As a solo actress producing on my own, I just made the music that I could make. And at first, it was really just me and a bunch of people that used to like my clothes, um, just listening to the music, and I'd play it out, and people would tell me what they liked. At the point where I got into ASCAP, I didn't even know what to do, and life is challenging, and launching music into the mainstream is there's
Okay.
the technical problems. But go, cut me off.
Oh, sure. I just had a question for you. For the
Always.
people out there who do not know what ASCAP is.
Ah, American Society of Composers and Producers. I think it's a profession. Everybody needs a professional place to release music from. Thank you for asking.
Oh, no problem.
Excuse me. If you just release your music, and there are some platforms that'll let you release the music without having an organization like ASCAP or BMI, the 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 whole thing that happens after the music is made, after the artist leaves the studio, that's what makes the money. And uh, most people don't realize that there's a lot of people. Like I just realized, just saw a documentary. Rick James was in Toronto working with hippies and knew Joni Mitchell.
Rick James, bitch.
Rick James. That's what I'm telling you right now.
I love it. I love that. Sorry.
He was. I'm with you. I love it too. And I was, I cut my teeth on the funk of the good part of his music, not the scandalous part. I'm glad that he made peace with that in his lifetime. But I'm talking about the loving part of his music. Flipped me out. He was playing with hippies before all that. He was in a series of bands in Toronto and on the West Coast or on the East Coast. The thing about these organizations is, if you own the music, if you write the music, and then you're part of a publishing organization, then you get to keep what happens afterwards if something happens. Now, most of the time, most of the people that are making money in music, you might not have actually even know who they are, but you can go and look on the records. It's the people that have the names under the songs that are right. So
Yeah.
that's why you hear about these amazing singers like Billie Holiday, or Ma Rainey, or any of the people that established what became the business of music. They were working with studios. They were working with other people.
Right.
And
There's so many different layers beside the artist. There's so many different layers
Exactly.
to that process.
Well, and this is so you have these moments like the story that most people know is Junior and Elvis. Junior owned everything he did up to a certain point, and then Elvis had to leave. It's this big moment. And in many artists' careers, their first 2 or 3 albums, they didn't make much money off those. And if you get as big as the Beatles, and you can go fight for your music and buy the rights off the original people, then you can sort of make money off of them. But for the first 5-10 years, they were, you know, they were just putting it together, going on tour, and living off of live shows. So the challenge in all of this, especially if you don't have a recognizable sound, if you're not easily classified in the pop genre, my I, I did. Well, I'm doing an interview. I know. That's Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
That's everybody says hi. She's a rock star. All she wants to know is if I made the coffee. Yes, I made it extremely strong.
That's funny.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, do you want to go ahead and play one of your songs, bud?
Well, I would love to. The interesting song I think right now is not going to sing this song because I've been listening to the music of the last 3 to 5 years to sort of to jump into the modern pop realm, and what's interesting is I grew up really shy, and I have some trouble speaking sometimes. And um, until I was told about Jim Neighbors, I had a really terrible stutter. And back when I was a little kid, you know, for anybody that's older, when we were younger, it wasn't just about being teased. It actually shut your life down. And so it was not something I could talk about. In the last 3 to 5 years, you have people trying to take ostriches on planes as emotional support animals.
Right. I've heard of some
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
So, so this song is, the song is not going to sing the song, and that's the singer is me. I found a robot that would sing what I wanted it to sing, and so it's actually um, a voice program where I've put my voice in there, and I sound like a singer now. But the words of it are really what I'm talking about is there's this new place in music where I have a family. I like to wake up and have coffee with Tina. We have we 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 have her son's cat that wanders around and waits for us and ambushes us as we're moving through the rooms. And this is our life, and it's cool. And I'm not going to go on tour. I can't do that. I could do appearances. Yeah, that's it. So this song is taking that step forward of saying, instead of just saying, I don't really like the attention. I'm feeling really shy. Sort of the chanteuse um, theme of the last 3 to 5 years in pop music. But the funny thing is, I really I so much don't want to sing the song and do that pop reality that I had a robot do it, and I'm not going on tour to sing it. And you can hear it in my voice. I'm even nervous to talk about it on the radio. So this is not going to sing this song by Stefan Daniel Bell on STL Hits, The Future of Radio.
Not going to sing this song by Stefan Daniel Bell. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Daddy Murr and Nina Show, and we have Stefan Daniel Bell as our guest today.
How you doing?
Weirdest song ever.
You know what, Stefan? I can see that as, it's kind of an anthem for all of the shy people out there who are insecure about the things that they want to do. Like there's so many artists out there, but they don't want to put themselves out there, and that encompasses all of that.
I seriously appreciate that because I play it for the people around me, and they thought it was a joke song. It's not a joke song. Thank you.
Now, was you able to hear the song on? We've got you hooked in a little bit differently than we normally do into the board. Was you able to hear the song or no?
No, I figured out I was on mute and tried not to disrupt. I never know how I'm in the board.
Yeah, we are, still building up everything and, trying to sell T-shirts in order to get more money for more equipment. So if anybody wants a T-shirt, go to Missouri's.
Hey,
I did it
don't
again.
do that. Don't do it.
Murray'sBazaar.com.
MurrysBazaar.
Hallelujah.
Did I spell that right?
That's
Yeah.
actual artist stuff. People should know. I don't mean to correct a call out, but that's actual artist stuff. You have meticulous attention to detail. Those are not like knockoff T-shirts. Those are beautiful artisan products. And
There.
I wasn't saying it didn't seem pro. This is as pro as anything I've ever done. You all are awesome.
It's handmade, baby.
Hand designed. Designed by hand, handmade, hand pressed, hand everything.
Yes.
So,
I
and
don't know how to say that.
It-
I'm sorry to cut you off. Like I make clothes, and I want to try to explain to people this was not made by a machine. It wasn't designed by an algorithm. There's an actual person that looked at this and then thought to themselves, I think it should look like this, and then made that. It's lost. I don't know how to explain it. I
I've
don't want
had
to sound like I'm complaining. Life happens.
Oh,
People changes, but
we're part of the crafter generation, crafting
yeah.
that's what
generation.
I'm
Well,
saying.
Yeah.
I consider it whenever I think about crafting. I'm sorry to take, to do this, but I think of people crafting with their kids, or doing something personal for themselves like scrapbooking, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I know Stefan likes macaroni macrame or whatever it's called
yeah, macrame.
with
I
macaroni
don't even
noodles.
know what that is.
That's cool. I
What's
love it. Yeah, no,
It's where
macrame?
you put
macrame.
it's where you put macaroni noodles on string and make plant holders with it. Macrame.
That's really.
Isn't that brown string?
I
Oh
don't
my
think
God,
that's right.
that is so funny. It works though. It works though. It really
It sounded
does.
good.
You throw that beat in the doors and some patchouli, and that's almost the '60s right there. Yes, the macaroni art was cool, and for some reason we started spray painting it and putting into clay and making mandalas with it. It was a different generation. I agree. I as an artist, I'm not original in the group of people that I'm in, especially the people that are my age. We all had art classes when we were young. I
Mm-hmm.
I was very serious about it, and I think I don't know, like I guess I bring it into my adulthood, the stuff that I was doing as a kid, because I didn't have friends. I was skipping my weekends. It was actually something that I was doing. It wasn't just something I was playing around and having fun. And my art was definitely not something that people liked in schools. Like my parents were a trip, so I could make art that I wanted to. I fell in love with the Rolling Stones icon, and they'd ask me to make the little cup in the art class, and I put the Rolling Stones tongue on it because that was just the coolest thing in the world to me. For 10 years, that just kept me going. Like
Right.
yeah. So my mom had a cabinet full of coffee cups and carafes and pitchers, and they all had the Rolling Stones tongue on them. It's very funny. Anyway, I'm glad it came up because I think I've been listening to the show, and it's one of the things that gets lost because I've seen your paintings, Nina, and your technique is incredibly solid. So that there's this, I don't know, there's a word missing for handcrafted artisan work.
It's
I don't.
Nina's. It's Nina. That's what it is.
Is that the
That's
word?
the word that's missing.
Nina?
Is Nina.
How about time
Right.
consuming? Oh, that's
Well,
more
that's
than one word.
exactly. Well, and you have to train up to it. You can't layer like you know how to triple load a brush, for instance, which is for anybody that's painted or anybody that's tried to paint, loading a brush once with the one thing that you want in it, that can take a lifetime. And it doesn't matter if it's the color blue or a finish or a lacquer at the end of creating something. To triple load a brush and do shading on eyes and eyebrows the way that you do, like where it's just like, oh, I just thought that might be fun, kind of a thing. That there isn't there isn't a way of describing it anymore because we spent hundreds of years trying to preserve these skills. And I think the good part is that anybody can make art now.
Oh,
I enjoy that.
absolutely.
I,
And
I love the go.
oh, it's like with your music. You have that need to create, to do something that's meaningful to you, and then that's how I am. I just do it because it's meaningful to me. And it's a way for me to get out of my head because I too, it was just like, well, probably, we're a lot alike in those ways of being shy and, standing back and doing our own thing. But then in other ways, we're outgoing too. But that was my way and still is my way of coping and dealing with everything and expressing myself.
Truly, that's yes. That I have a very close friend who doesn't want to be named in this kind of a setting, but I used to be really jealous of his technique and he sat down and said something very similar to what you said. He explained, this art, because he was a person that was older than me, a teacher and a friend and contemporary, and art is what people do to cope at a certain point. And and for me, what's interesting is after launching the music career, I got a bunch of stuff that happened in my body, and the music was what I could do. Fashion is very physically intensive, so the pieces slowed down, and I stopped releasing the way that I was back in the 2000s. And my production work is mostly in my head now, because I get on the phone and I work with people. We make things happen. But with the music, it's the thing that keeps my mind going while I'm trying to figure out the next thing I'm going to do with my back. Interestingly enough, and if I had a talent like John Lennon or Paul McCartney or Mick Jagger, yeah, I'd get up on the stage, sure. Whatever, therapy, or if it was really like a thing, if that makes sense. And the people around me are like, no, you're a rock star. You have some confidence. And yeah, sure, I'd muster and I'd do that. On the one hand, on the other hand, what happened, I got really lucky, and most people don't say this, but I got really lucky, and a bunch of people started playing my music, but it's not here. And it created this weird problem, because the people playing my music are outside the United States, and a lot of them are in countries that are no longer allies of the United States. And so I granted rights for people to play my music, because they started getting picked up by my rights organization being played outside. And in America,
Wow.
yeah, you want to get paid for that concert.
Absolutely.
If that's happening in Ohio, give me a call. I'll get on a bus. I will come out there, and I may not do a traditional concert because I'm very shy, and I'd much rather connect with my fans. Like, why don't we get a band, a local band, to play my music, and I'll go hang out with the fans, and we can do selfies. Let's do something cool. But if you're somewhere outside the United States and there's no way to get in touch with me, and for some reason someone wants to play my music outside, like at an event, like a wedding or something, that's not an issue of rights. So this started happening a lot, and I got picked up by my label, World Star PR Records, because at a certain point I started getting calls about doing more with my music from royalty organizations. Problem is, the money wasn't coming to me, and I'm not going to get in a fight with people outside the United States about this. A town in Ohio that plays my music at anything above 18, like a high school graduation, who's going to ask for rights? That's why here they can just call me on the phone, like, hey, can we play the song? We really like it. Yeah, I'm honored. Absolutely. Tell my organization, whatever. Let's make this happen. We'll do it for however we can make it happen. But at a certain point, instead of being upset about it, I decided to be grateful about it, first of all. And second of all,
Always.
I can't tour the world. I can't go over there and share the music any other way. And the cultural complement is very high. And then, very interestingly enough, it started happening in prisons as well. People use my work in prison to learn how to produce music.
Wow.
Really? That's interesting.
Well, I think that's awesome because it also helps with the rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And they look at me, I look at somewhere between Opie and Seals and Crofts, and they're not thinking that I'm going to react positively to that. So, of course, they're not going to be able to call me. I got notifications from my royalty organizations, and I let that go. I just let it go. The music is weird and esoteric. It's not being copied by the super large bands, which is very nice. They could be, and there would be no way to grab it back, for instance.
I don't know. I think I heard something about Britney Spears gonna do one of your songs.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
I don't see Britney
maybe she'll sing
Spears,
that.
but
I'm not going to sing the song. Maybe she'll sing that one for you.
I
Hey,
would
Brittany, give me a call.
Oh my gosh, I would deal on that song. It's not even business. At this
So-
point. If it's Brittany, I would love to do something, anything. Just she's wonderful.
So I
Thank
have
you.
a question
Alright.
for you, if
Yeah,
you don't
please.
mind me. Out of all of the hats that you've worn, so between being in all of these different art forms that you've worked in, what's your favorite? What's the thing that you felt the most satisfied doing?
The thing I tried the most, I'm with you. Most satisfying would be the music. The thing that I've tried the most was to be in a life. My mother was an artist, and she was also a priest and an author, musician, painter. She was incredible, and she was in New York at a very interesting time in art, and people were talking about big. I don't want to name any names because I just don't want to get. It's not a commentary or an opinion. She was watching everybody idolize patriarchal men who considered themselves uh, um, great original artists. And what my mother used to say, what would be original is an artist that could take care of their family. And I grew up around that, and so for me, the most rewarding thing that I do when I'm able to do it is do dishes and help around the house and be
It's the simple things in life.
Yeah, something that doesn't have to do with my career or whatever is public or whatever somebody might know.
Well, one of these days we'll get out to California and you can barbecue for us. How's about that?
Ooh.
I'm not really that good at barbecuing, but
Oh, I am.
and her son Patrick are masters. And we've got a barbecue waiting. I think if you haven't seen the water, you should just drive out here.
Yeah.
I think it might even be cheaper than flying.
Hey, we might do that sooner than you think.
We should do before the spring, before the people, because you get out here, we're close enough to the beach where you can actually just go spread out a picnic blanket and hang out.
Well, we'll bring a nice brisket.
Brisket.
Brisket is good.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite things to barbecue. Brisket.
It just falls apart.
He does the brisket. He does the barbecue, and I do the eating.
But the brisket takes 16 hours. The way I cook it. So.
To get a good brisket, if it's going to fall apart, it takes time.
Oh yeah, you gotta really cook that fat out of there.
I don't
Render it
even.
out.
I'm not even gonna say it because it's gonna sound stupid.
What?
I don't even know if I know what a brisket really is.
It's a big hunk of beef.
Well, obviously, but
They make corned beef out of it.
oh yeah, I like brisket.
They also make, I'm wanting to say pastrami
Oh yes,
out of it.
yes, I'm a fan.
It might be the same cut. Yes.
It's the same piece of meat. They just cook it and treat it and smoke it and rub it a little bit differently. Because you got to rub your meat. Ain't that right, Stefan?
I've heard that.
Oh, wow. Just putting right in line for that one. That is just classic. This is the moment where I feel like I should take a moment to stand up for broccoli. Because broccoli, even though you can't barbecue it, broccoli is still, it's almost as good as meat.
Oh, it's
Grilled
awesome.
barbecue with butter garlic sauce. Wonderful.
Yes. As I got older, what I think is really weird, especially about a certain sector of men that will not eat vegetables, is that as I've gotten older, if you want to feel good or be ready for a meeting, eat a salad the day before.
Oh, that's a good tip.
It's strange. It regulates the thing that we call mood in the brain. And if our grandmothers had explained, eat your greens, you'll be able to think clearer, I think we would have listened better to it. But this, yes, and oh my God, the meat conversation is hilarious. I think holistic, sustainable meat. We are this strange creature that can eat meat and vegetables, and the brisket is one of the strange cuts of meat that is it is so delicious and so wonderful. And I think uh, like you look at the meat replacement idea, like I'm no longer going to eat meat. I'm only going to eat things that look and taste like meat that are called meat items. You can just eat vegetables and they're really delicious,
That's
as it turns out.
that's popping
And
up everywhere.
Yeah, like this no egg stuff.
Right, but I mean, even at fast
Mhm.
food places, they're doing like faux hamburgers.
Yeah, fake meat or impossible meat
Yeah, they're
is what they're
calling
calling
it. That's
impossible meat.
that's BK. But there's another place that just I can't think of it now that I'm trying to say it. But they have a faux meat product out there too, and I was like, that is just strange to me.
All right, well, back to Stefan. Hey, Stefan,
Yes, Stefan.
if somebody hears your songs, where can they get them?
I'm locating everything at stefandanielbell.com. It's taken me years working with my nephew to get a website that's just got tries to have everything all in one place. Excuse me, can't believe I just burped on air. Um, we're putting everything in that one place, and then I'm getting advice from business consultants that do mailing lists and all kinds of different stuff right now. But stefandanielbell.com is is where it is. It should be easily found if you just do if you search for Stefan Daniel on Google. It'll take you to one site that'll take you to the website. It's pretty simple.
Awesome.
It's taken years to set up, but yeah, back to the conversation of the rights thing. I think it is worth finishing the conversation that the hardest part is staying in that creative that creative role for just a second longer to write or create the work. Which for a painter, it's not. As a painter, you're creating your own work. You're making that that piece, and it's clear who's making it. As a musician, it's so hard to own a note, and it's actually even in the law you can't copyright a bass line or a drum beat, because if you could, you really would limit people because there just aren't that many bass lines or drum beats. In terms of melodies and intonation of a melody, there are some people that say that there's nothing new under the sun. I don't agree. I think there are new melodies coming out and new pieces of music, and I think artists should be paid for their work.
Oh,
We're trying to
absolutely.
figure out how to, yeah, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. What's amazing is there are a bunch of shy artists coming out, people that don't want to tour, people that are willing to work behind the scenes, that are also producers, that have an ability to put themselves into the studio without having to be the center of attention. And that's turned out to be my advantage, I guess, is that I like to put a lot of confidence into my music, so that the notes, um, that when you're hearing them, you're hearing a sincere representation of what I'm trying to do in the song. But in terms of the mood around the music, I'm just trying to work with as many people as I can, to not just to make the work bigger, but to sort of share what you I think you've said it best so far, Nina. That I would love to be an inspiration to people that probably wouldn't try if they were talking to somebody with a larger ego about what you have to do to make money in music. And
Mm-hmm.
the truth is, it's harder to do it my way, and it took me a long time. And I did have to put more time into the actual physical engineering of the work. Meaning there's things I have to do behind the stage, behind the scenes, so that people that can just look at a sound wave can see that
Right.
I know what I'm doing. On the one hand, but it really was worth the time. It's based on physics, so it's not. You don't have a thing with sound waves where somebody can look at it and say A, B, or C, and it's not going to be verifiable. You can actually use a machine to look at the things that people are talking about. So it's not magic, and it's not something that has a never-ending learning curve. It takes time to learn how to engineer and produce, but at the end of that process, what's been happening for me is uh, the inspiration of the last few years, which I'm trying to show in that song. But I've been listening to it, and I want to do some more songs like it, and I think they need to be a little bit more exciting, a little bit more inviting. I think that song, I need to try to explain what I'm saying in a more joyful way, if that
Well,
makes any sense.
Stefan, I mean, STL Hits is playing at least one of your songs in rotation right now, and I love it. And you got, a bunch of other stuff, but everything that you do is very, it puts people in a different, like a calm mood. And I think everybody needs that calm mood nowadays.
Right. That moment of respite to be able to relax and yeah,
There's
I know what you're talking
so
about.
much bad news and everything, and everybody's so wound up, so tight that I know when I listen to it, it just relaxes me. And I kind of go, wow,
Nice. Thank you. I just did a bunch of piano pieces that I think you'll like. That wasn't, for anybody that's listening, that was not set up off air. I can't believe you just brought that up. Thank you. I'm releasing a bunch of piano pieces, and I wrote a nocturne, and I've reproduced and played a bunch of older stuff and a couple of Bach pieces. Um, and that's nice to hear. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome.
The process of making music is chaotic and strange, and just getting a song mastered is a very difficult experience. I don't know how to explain it. If you're paying to have somebody else do it, you give somebody your song, you pay them money, and it comes back and it's not the song you wrote. If you wrote the song and you're mastering it yourself, there's a certain moment where you have to let go of the way that a song sounds live, or as it's being created, and the way it's going to sound through everybody's devices. And so at a certain point, I want to put more fun into what I'm doing, but I also want to start to get more input on what the music is doing for people, because I've been in isolation for so long.
I know
And the
what
work,
you
meaning,
mean. It kind of,
right?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it does. It
Please
really
do.
kind of disassociates you from everybody else around you. And you have to always remind yourself to step outside.
Especially the last couple of years with this coronavirus.
Yes.
It's been terrible as far as trying to be a social butterfly.
Or just social in general.
Yeah, it's brutal. I don't know how to I don't know how to interact with this without sounding smarmy or distant. Between my back problems and production and getting older, I've been working remotely since 2003, 2004.
So
And
you're a
so
pro.
you'd think you'd get better at it. You don't. The need for being able to socialize is a great challenge, I think, especially for full-time artists, because you have to give up your weekends to be good at anything that involves handwork.
Well, I also think that everybody needs a little bit of human touch. You can't always work remotely and feel satisfied.
I think that is going to be one of the great challenges of the next century, is to figure out how to have healthcare that people can have, and how to go back to being able to be around each other.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I mean, even before the pandemic, I didn't feel safe in public. I I got recognized at a concert 2 years ago and got hit in the head with a bottle.
What?
Yeah, but the funny moment again, in terms of like, was the bottle half full or half empty?
Was it
Sort of
plastic
funny.
or glass?
It was a plastic bottle and it was a quarter empty. I mean, a quarter full. So it felt like being tapped in the head, and it was so accurately placed in such an incredibly specific place.
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's funny. No, I'm with you. It was like, hey, I know you, but I don't completely hate you. And so I know.
Sorry.
So I told the manager. It is. It's very funny. And I told the management, I was like, maybe I could be where they were because there were nets, so that nobody could throw things at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was the upper tier of a concert, and for me, it was, I had a mixed reaction to it. On the one hand, I was really sort of like, that's not something I want to do again. So I think I'll go a little bit more VIP in the future.
Wait a
On the
second.
one hand, on the other,
No, I'm sorry. You finish. You finish.
no, but on the other hand, it was only a quarter of a bottle, so I don't want to complain that much. Yeah.
I'm having this whole scene in my brain, okay? I'm one of those people that envisions stories. And I mean, was it like, did somebody yell out, hey, Stefan Daniel Bell, and throw it?
No, I was standing.
She's sadistic.
In the middle of. It's really funny. No, it's worth asking. It's worth asking if it was completely personal or just a general, like, I think I might know you, but you might as well. And judging from your clothes, yeah, you're one of them, kind of a thing.
Right.
Nope, they didn't call it my name, but a group of about 12 people did laugh. You're the first person that's asked. Yeah.
I would have died. I'm telling you, if I had seen it, the first reaction is I'm from Sicilian background, so you laugh at everything, even blood, whenever there's blood, and then you go, oh, are you okay?
Well,
Yeah, don't let me fall down and break a hip.
Well, if you're Sicilian, you know what happened at movie theaters at the turn of the century and vaudevillian stuff. You didn't get asked if you were bothered by people throwing things at you. You got asked if they threw rocks. So sometimes it's a compliment. It's very important to not be so touchy that you can't get the subtle message happening. Right.
So I'm with
you.
With these newer artists, with these newer indie artists, and we interview indie artists all the time. If you had one piece of advice to give to the younger kids, what would that piece of advice be?
Use beats and samples and other people's work for inspiration, quick work, or for work that you're doing for free. But for your own work, own all your work. Make all your beats, make all your samples, learn how to work with all of your own stuff. Because if you make a beat with someone else's music, you're going to end up making someone else rich.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's really good advice. So make sure all your content's original.
Yeah, has to be. And the bonus for that is if somebody that is making a movie that's going to be earning an Oscar and they like your song and they put it in there, your song can be nominated for an Oscar if it has all original material and it's never been played anywhere else and it has completely original sound that is all owned and written up. The other thing to add to that is it's great to collaborate with people. It does build your career, but be careful how long that list gets because everybody's getting a percentage, and it's better to write a song alone and get it in the back of a like. For me, everybody always asks what I want. I want to be the song that's playing in a sci-fi movie when the weirdo geeky science guy gets out of his strange car, he opens the door, and there's this really loud music playing for about 2.5 seconds. And the guy or woman or they gets out of the door, music blaring, door closes. That's a good paycheck if that movie goes large or on a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. That's really good. In my acting career, people ask what I want. I want to be the guy when the alien ship comes down and lands on somebody. I want to be that guy because it's always an interesting person. It's always somebody that's like, "Hey, dude, pass me the dude, dude," and then the alien ship lands on them, and all you see is their hair coming out from the edge of the alien. That perfect. It still pays.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what we're talking about is getting paid. I mean,
Well, that's one of the reasons why we cut the music out when we put our shows out as a podcast to make sure that everybody gets paid how they're supposed to get paid. We're very picky about that.
It needs to be split. What it needs to happen is if you split the streams so that when somebody's music was playing on the radio, that it was playing from their account, they'd get the hits, they'd get the royalties, the music can be played. The other thing that I think would be interesting is to make it like an iBook where you're listening to the podcast, but you could listen to people's work. Because sometimes the interesting thing about music review is not you all and not my favorite shows, but the shows that aren't really paying attention. Sometimes if you're playing the wrong song to draw the audience in, they can't be listening to other songs. So I think having a silent podcast where people can actually choose which songs they're looking at, I think that's really cool. But it's still that we still haven't connected it. The internet, all these things they're very fancy, but they're not focused on the artist yet.
Yeah, absolutely not.
The majority of people that used to make money, excuse me, have to do that live. And those shows have just been cut down so much that that the competition has become almost impossible. And so I think that what we're looking at is something like the drive-in. We need, it's very interesting that we had this thing in 1917 that was a global pandemic, and then this thing called the drive-in evolved, and then there used to be these community picnics. It's very, if we could sort of transition back to that, then live music will come back in 40, 50 years.
That would be so great.
Right? And until then, even the biggest rock stars are going to have to get online and start to stream to do their thing, which I think the thing that you said, Tom, is the human touch. They've measured it scientifically, and they've measured it in terms of development. You really do have to be around people to develop. So I think it's worth doing a disclaimer for younger people. If what I'm saying is totally boring, I apologize, and I've been fighting for people to have an ability to gather younger. For older people, we can do a year or 2 years inside trying to get a career started. So it's a little bit different for the older people on the one hand. On the other hand, that human touch, that interactivity, I think we do have to find a way almost quickly to have something like a substitute.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Now, Stefan, we are what? We're at the 2-minute mark?
We're at the 1 minute mark.
1 minute mark?
Yep.
No way.
Oh yeah,
it flew.
So much fun.
That was. Well, we are grateful that you showed up. For the Daddy Murr and Nina show.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have you back. As often as you want to come back.
Yeah, you'll be back. We'll continue the conversation later.
Please.
So, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
It's been incredible.
Our pleasure. And everybody, you've been listening to Stefan Daniel Bell here on the Daddy Murr and Nina show, STL Hits Radio. Oh, one more thing before we go. Stefan, do you want to do a station ID for us?
Yes, please.
Just say, this is, Stefan. Did I interrupt you? Sorry.
Not at all. No, please do. I'm a lot of family from New York. The way to finish my sentence is to cut me off.
Just Stefan Daniel Bell with, I'm here.
You know
with,
how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're a pro.
This-
Go ahead.
I got it. It's this is Stefan Daniel Bell with Tom and Nina on STL Hits, the future of radio.
Take two. That's Daddy Murr and Nina.
Daddy Muir? Okay.
Myrrh.
You,
Like, it's like
I'm-
purr,
got it.
but myrrh.
Oh, I'm so with you. Okay, this is Stefan Daniel Bell. You're with Daddy Muir. This is Stefan
It's
Daniel Bell. You're with Nina and Daddy Murr on STL Hits, the future of radio.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody. And
Yes.
Beautiful.
be kind to each other.
Absolutely. Bye.